Hi there, it's Adam bringing you another video to the channel. We are continuing the 21-22 UK Model Airport series, and this video does conclude the day for the Wednesday schedules. It's not such a big update, I'll be honest, but I think it sort of concludes the day, and I think it's important to do, not only to conclude the schedules for that day, but maybe to showcase aircraft that don't normally feature together, and aircraft that might be on rotation as well, and give an idea of what comes in this time of day, because obviously this is where night stops come in. Obviously some night stops do come in the early hours of the morning, but they usually feature in the following morning update, which obviously will start on Thursday morning schedules. In terms of this video, we're going to get into the update, but yeah, there's something I want to talk about towards the end, so I'll do the update first. But obviously, if you guys want to listen, it's regarding a future project that I'm quite enthusiastic about. I'm kind of looking forward to it. It's a big project in terms of how expensive it might become. Not in terms of layout size, so I don't want to be hyping up like it's going to be massive. It's not a massive layout, but in terms of the variation, let's say, that I will offer, certainly for my collection, that's probably, yeah, that's kind of what I'm referring to. But again, we'll get into more of that towards the end of the video. Filming from this location, I just think for this update it works better. Pretty good overview of each model, each aircraft. So we'll start off on this left side, starting off with the EasyJet A321neo, registration Golf Uniform Zulu Mike Alpha, arriving in from Rome as U28528, and then we have the Ryanair 737-800 in the sort of Boeing colours, Boeing partnership colours, registration Echo India Delta Charlie Lima, arriving from on the return leg from Malaga as FR7785, and then pan across, featuring the last update, we have the Jet2 Holidays A321, registration Golf Hotel Lima Yankee Foxtrot, which arrived from Paphos as LS406. Taxiing out, we have this DHL, a European Air Transport A330-300, passenger to freighter, registration Delta Alpha Charlie Victor Golf, heading out to Leipzig. Does a short hop from Dublin and then carries on out to Germany, as mentioned. And then we'll pan across to these two. We'll start off with the nearest one, DHL 767-300, registration Golf Delta Hotel Lima Echo. Again, featuring the last update, arriving from Bahrain as DHK 792. And then we have the regular ABX Air 767-300 N November 220 Charlie Yankee, registration arriving from Chicago as ABX 983. Just a little bit of information regarding the cargo movement. So the A330 wouldn't have featured on these stands that we can visually see, because the time that comes in, the Aerologic and the UPS from the last update would have still been in. The UPS does depart before the ABX comes in, so obviously that works well, which is why that's featured. And you know what, a little bit of emphasis on DHL kind of takes me into what I want to talk about, really. I mean, that kind of concludes the actual update itself, but in terms of ideas for the future, sort of future projects, which I'm currently working on, it's going to take a while, and I do want to get these updates done first, so it's not like I'm fobbing this off and then starting something new straight away. It's going to be expensive and it's going to take me a while, I imagine, to accommodate for what I do have in mind. So there's an airport in Costa Rica which I've been looking at before, and I've really started to take a little bit more interest recently as well. And it's the Juan Santa Maria International Airport. Now, some time ago, if you guys are familiar with layover layouts, who do sort of printouts for layouts and stuff, which I have a bit of a sample of from the Southwest small project that I did. They do basically a early version of this airport, which accommodates pretty well. The actual setup has changed slightly in terms of they've now got like added taxiways and such in terms of the actual airport layout, but certainly for aircraft taking, like, it's just taxiways like on the opposite side of the runway, just to accommodate for wide bodies taking off, so we've got a longer run on the runway and such. But this airport in particular I find very interesting in terms of the traffic they have. Of course, some of the traffic I already have. So Southwest obviously is not that big at this airport, but they do operate there. Delta 757s operate there, which is kind of good because I've got them, and also 767s, which I'd probably use as well. There's a mix of cargo like UPS, for instance, as well. To be honest, there's a lot of airlines that I'm not, certainly in terms of cargo stuff, that I'm not too familiar with. But yeah, I am focusing on possibly doing a project on this kind of airport, and I do want to keep it realistic. So if I do go for instead of doing it myself, the printout of the layout by Layover Layouts, I will also be looking to acquire a 3D printed sort of replica of the actual terminal building as well, with air bridges. At the minute I've been shopping around, I've been looking at quotes, I've been looking at obviously time frame, what to expect and things like that in the future. And yeah, it's going to be expensive. These things don't come cheap. But it's something that I do feel like I want to do, and I feel like you're kind of getting that realism, and that's something I lack. I'm quite good at doing the actual base for airports, but when it comes to actual terminal design and things like that, I am quite basic. I'm not going to lie. I do like to use Lego, as you know, and it's a simple tool to use. And I could probably do something more diverse with Lego, but even that is quite expensive if you're getting pieces. And not just that, the complications of design and all that kind of stuff as well. It wouldn't be an exact replica, whereas I think 3D printed, those guys that are capable of doing that can present something a little bit more. Now, of course, like I said, there's a lot of airlines that I'd have to acquire as well. So like Avianca, if that's how you pronounce that airline, by the way. There's probably more airlines such as American. I don't really have any American airlines yet, so 737-800s in particular I'm probably looking at. And bearing in mind this project, certainly I'd like to emphasise on a modern day just to kind of limit, but there may be the option of maybe be a little bit more diverse. So I know Southwest, I don't know, they've not been operating there all the time, and their schedules are very kind of sparse compared to the other stuff, like Copa Airlines as well. They are big alongside Avianca, and one thing I want to do, I think the reason why it's drawing me to this airport as well, number one, the diversity, but I think a lot of the airlines do operate 737s, and I am a big 737 fan. And like I said, I know Avianca will be operating A320s, A320 Neos more so. But again, I just think the actual layout of the airport, and you've got the narrow body stands, they do also accommodate for the wide body stands as well, which is something I don't have much of, which are wide body aircraft from Europe, KLM, Air France, British Airways, for instance. Then you've also got the like A340s, which you don't tend to see much nowadays as well. Iberia have operated and still operate. They operate A350s from what I've seen. And yeah, I do feel very enthused by what I'm seeing. I've been watching spotting videos on YouTube, trying to get an idea of the operations. I am currently working on the initial stage of schedules as well, to kind of get an idea of how many sort of schedules there might be through the day, which is a lot. I'll be honest, there's a lot of schedules through the day. So again, I'm using Flight Radar 24. So far I've only done half of Friday, which I started last night, albeit I was probably knackered from, you know, work and stuff like that. But I thought I'll start it off, see how we get on, and basically what I'm doing is doing the arrivals first, referencing the registration of the aircraft, and then basically going on to departures, and then finding registration, and then basically using that information to put in the departure time and where it's going out to and the flight numbers. So there is ways and means of doing it. It's probably the most simplest way I've ever done it, to be quite honest. So yeah, but I mean, by all means, if you want to research the airport, you know, to get a bit more of an idea, by all means do. But I've always kind of wanted to do something like this. I mean, I've mentioned before, I want to do something with Southwest Airlines. This airport does limit things a little bit, but I'm not sure if I might kind of make it my own, in terms of introducing other stuff as well. I'm not, if anybody can help me out as well, I'm not sure if Allegiant Air operate there. I've seen some aircraft in videos. I don't know if they're just there for maintenance or if they're getting delivered. So if you can help me out, let me know if Allegiant Air do actually operate there. That would be useful. Because I've mentioned in the past I want to do something Southwest based, and I also want to include Allegiant in terms of the MDs, and look at Delta with their MDs and the 717s, for instance, as well. And this airport kind of limits that. It does accommodate for Southwest, but obviously Delta, from what I can see, mostly operate maybe 737s, 757s, 767s maybe on occasion. And yeah, I don't know though. I do think this kind of idea though, this project is different. It is very different to what I normally do. I'm not familiar with the area at all in terms of the world. I don't know a lot about the schedules. I'm just going by Flight Radar and getting an idea. Cargo schedules are a little bit tricky from what I've seen, but we'll probably figure that out. But there are a lot of cargo schedules that aren't really current in 1/400 scale either. So like the DHL stuff, there's nothing, I don't believe, in 1/400 scale yet that is registered as it would be over there. So that's something I'd probably like to see. I think in fact 200 did a DHL 757 recently, or not so long ago. But yeah, it is more 1/400 I'm focusing on. The actual layout size is roughly similar to this, but it's a little bit longer, about 5 by 2 foot, maybe less, something like that. So it is very accommodating, and yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to it. By all means, let me know your thoughts, or if you know anybody who's in Costa Rica, or if you've been to Costa Rica, let me know. If you've been to this airport in particular, you know, any information that you have would be very much appreciated. But again, it's a project it's going to take its time because of the expense of it all. Not something I'm rushing into, and also, like I said, I do want to get these updates done as well, and I don't want to disclose this until we get these done, because if we're only halfway through the week and we're halfway through the year, so we've still got a lot of schedules to get through. You know, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, for example. Things might change, you know, this idea might fade over time, I don't know, but it's something that I'm quite keen on at the minute, and I think that's quite evident given that I am looking at schedules in particular as well, because I have had ideas of airports and not really done anything with them, whereas this I kind of feel very much like it's something I want to pursue, so we'll look into that. In the meantime, of course, next weekend we'll focus on the next update, which will commence with the Thursday schedules in the early hours of the morning when aircraft are getting ready for departure.